Great. Let us move on to integrations next. There's three tabs all the way to the top. Traffic sources and prevention, workflows, and posture security. Let's go to posture security. Okay. Posture security is all about using third-party applications that are there to discover misconfigurations primarily on your environments, cloud environments, and so on, and decorate the APIs that are executing under those environments with those type of misconfigurations. For example, if I select that integration, you will see Wiz is prominent in this posture security integration, right? And what this will do is if you perform an integration, if I select it, you're going to be given now to text fields in order to complete the integration with Wiz, right? And periodically, the no-name platform is going to be pulling the information out of Wiz, decorating the APIs that are executing under those environments with the Wiz findings. Okay, that's what it is. And the same thing can be done with all these other vendors. Okay, so that's what posture security is all about. And again, every single one of these has the corresponding documentation, link, so you can go and read more. All right, we're not going to do any posture security. What we're going to deal with is we're going to talk next traffic source and prevention, and you will see I already have a traffic source and prevention. Again, remember, I built these VMs 2 days ago, right? 2 days ago. So that's why you see here it's offline 1 day ago, right? The status, there's three statuses here. There's pending. The very first time you create an integration, the status will be pending. And it's going to stay pending until it receives traffic. The very first time it receives traffic, pending is going to change to online. You're going to see a green dot and online. And it's going to stay online for the next 24 hours, right? From the last traffic received. Okay. So in my case, I sent the traffic about 48 hours ago, a little less than that. And about a day ago, the status changed to offline. Yesterday, that is. And that's why you see 1 day ago, status changed to offline. And of course, you see nothing in the 24-hour traffic, right? You see nothing in the 24-hour traffic because nothing has received. Otherwise, this flat line that you see right here is going to look, it's going to look like a graph that indicating spikes and cliffs and so on, right? Peaks and cliffs to be exact. All right. That's the other thing you need to keep in mind. The other thing you need to know is that there are different modules available to every single integration. In this case, the two modules that are available for this MuleSoft integration is the traffic inspection and the resource discovery. Right? The traffic inspection means I'm able to receive traffic, inspect the traffic, so that I'm able to discover APIs. Right? This resource discovery, that's exactly what it means. Right? The other thing I want to point out is that there is an update available, right? There's an update available. MuleSoft 1 integration has an update available. Why? Because the integration that I'm using is dated, right? So there is a much more recent update. And by the way, if I select this update available, it is clickable, right? Version 3.10 for MuleSoft is now available. Download it. You're going to download again the policy or the plugin for your corresponding integration, and you need now to go and perform the updates as per the documentation, right? As per the documentation. That's the other thing you need to keep in mind. Right. There's another module which is not available because I have a dated MuleSoft integration, and that is the prevention integration, right? Which is not here present, at least not in the version that I'm using. There's a number of total requests I received, almost 7,000 requests. The resources, usually these list the different resources like API gateways, WAFs, load balancers, and so on, depending the permissions that you have provided when you were creating the corresponding integration, right? I'll talk a little bit more about this. And the options, edit, delete, and you go to the documentation. Okay. If I add an integration, And of course, I'm going to select MuleSoft. By the way, if you add an integration, you're going to see all the different modules that are available per integration level. For example, Nginx has traffic inspection, resource discovery, and prevention. MuleSoft doesn't, right? So if I select any one of these, or even MuleSoft, I want to point out, and I'm selecting MuleSoft because if I set up a connected app, it's optional, right? With appropriate permissions, then I will be able to discover the ecosystem and potential misconfigurations of the environment that my APIs are executing under. Okay, so I have to give the right permissions to the non-A platform to enable the non-A platform to discover these misconfigurations. If you don't provide the non-A platform with the right permissions, it's only going to be able to detect traffic only. Anyhow, it's an understatement, right? But it will be able to discover your APIs. It will be able to discover like misconfigurations in your authentication mechanisms. It will be able to identify. It will be able to identify abnormal behavior, discover your APIs, learn their behavior, discover abnormal behavior, and but it will not be able to discover environment level misconfigurations, right? Keep that in mind. So that's why this portion is important. And every single configuration has something along these lines, right? Has something along these lines. And all these extra resources that we discover, we present them under the resources field, column, and they're hyperlinked. So you can see additional information. Let me be more accurate. They're usually hyperlinked. Okay. All right, so that's what an integration does, right? And depending what you want to do, you will be receiving the traffic, and you also can do prevention. And I have yet to explain what the heck is prevention, right? If you remember a few recordings back when I was explaining what's the main purpose of the no-name platform, and I told you it's just a monitoring tool, right? It's just a monitoring tool. Well, it's able to do a little more than that. It's not just monitoring. It's able to prevent or block access to individual users, right? And that user may be identified by an ID, uh, maybe be identified by a token, by an IP address, and so on, right? So if your integration supports prevention and you enable the prevention module, then what you can do is you can also, from within the no-name platform, you can communicate, I don't know, to that gateway or to that firewall or to your WAF, web application firewall, right? You can communicate that and tell them from within the no-name platform, hey, listen, no-name, listen, firewall, listen, gateway, I want you to block this IP. I want you to block this identifier. Okay, so you can do all that. You can do all that. There's a separate class, NS501 IBM Data Power Gateway Integration, where we actually show how you can build an integration, how you can create an integration, a traffic source integration, and how you can enable the corresponding prevention module, how you can configure the corresponding prevention module. Okay, so you can go and check that other class to do all that. So that's with respect to that. And if I'm to be complete, if you enable the prevention integration, then you can go under security. You can go and track down the attacker because it's the attacker you want to block, right? So you can go to the attacker, and if you select any one of these, you can say block. Of course, we don't have any prevention integration at this point. That's why we're not able to perform the actual blocking. Okay. If we had one, we will be able to complete the blocking, just to be complete. And you can block indefinitely. You can block for a few hours, days, and so on, right? Months, etc. So there is some time limit. And again, you see an attack. What you would like to do is, and depending, of course, the level of severity, you probably would like to block first, try to debug next, right? That's a general rule of thumb. It doesn't apply always, but that's a general rule of thumb. We'll talk about more, all right, later on. Okay, so let's go back to the settings. Let's go back to the integrations. So we talked about the different integrations, and now we're going to go to the workflows. What the heck is a workflow? A workflow integration is an integration that helps you communicate information to the other parts of the information, to the of the organization, of the enterprise. For example, developers, right? I like to communicate an incident that relates to one of the MuleSoft APIs to a MuleSoft developer, right? So I need somehow, I can do it by an email, but it's a lot better if I have something that is more appropriate. I don't know, a ticketing system like Jira, right? Like Jira. That's exactly what we're going to do next. We're going to build a Jira integration. And if you're wondering why the heck do we need to build a Jira integration, we need to build a Jira integration because I would like to also show you that life cycle, that work, how the flow of that uh, exercise goes, right? I would like to communicate that information to my Jira, right? How will I be able to show it to you when we try to debug one of the incidents, one of the findings, without having a Jira integration ready to go? Okay. Very similar to prevention. I don't have a prevention module enabled. There's nothing I can do to block. Okay. All right. We're going to select add integration and we're going to select Jira. By the way, these are all the available integrations. We are choosing Jira because it's free, it's readily available, it's pretty straightforward to complete it within a few minutes. Okay, so Jira. By the way, let me mention something that is true for pretty much every single integration you're going to perform in your careers if you are in that type of a business. An integration is a task of having two disparate systems communicate with one another, right? That's what it is. Integration will be a piece of cake if you have the right experts in the right room at the right time. Okay? That's when integration is a piece of cake. Integration becomes difficult, unwieldy, lengthy if you don't have the right experts. Okay? That's true for any integration you worked on, the any integration you're going to work on, okay, in the future. So let's go ahead and set up our integration. And again, I happen to be an expert in the no-name platform and enough expert of Jira in order to complete this integration. Okay, so I'm going to open an incognito window and I'm going to go under my Jira. And again, I mentioned to you guys I have a toy Jira account. So I'm going to navigate to Atlassian.com and I'm going to go ahead and sign in. I have a toy account using the email training no name at gmail.com. Okay, that's my email. Let's continue. I need to use my super secret password and log in. I highly recommend you create your own Jira account to complete this exercise. Now, inside your manual, I have provided you with identifiers so you can integrate with mine, right? If so you choose, you want to do that, you want to use mine, you can use mine. Just be careful. Those tokens, even though I update them every time I update the course, those tokens get out of sync very often, right? So they may not be working. So if they don't work and you still need to use my account, send me an email at training@nonamesecurity.com and I will provide you with a token that works. Okay? All the other values should be exactly the same. Exactly the same. But ideally, use one of your personal emails, create one of these. Super easy. Super easy. Right? So I don't know what this full experience is. Oh, Atlas. Yeah, they updated their stuff. Let's do it another time, not while I'm recording. All right, so there's a project called Product Dev that I have built specifically so that I'm able to communicate to Acme's product development when I discover incidents or findings inside my no-name platform, right? As you can see, I've used it a couple of times already the past couple of weeks. Backlog is empty right now, and so on. Okay. All right. The URL that we need to use is all the way to the top. Here it is. This is it. So I'm going to copy and head back and paste. Again, that's the information I need to provide. The email, I know it. I just typed it, training no name at gmail.com. That's my email. And the token, now I need to provision the token. All right, let's go back to our incognito window with Jira. And that is under my profile. Manage account, security, tokens. I have quite a few of these tokens and I've cleaned them up. It doesn't let me create more than 25 at a time. So let's go and create another token. And I usually like dates. So today's date is 27? 27, right? So 2024 04 27. If I knew how to type, right? Token. Let's create. Here's our token. Here it is. Pretty lengthy. We can just need to copy, and we're going to go back now to our workflow integration. We're going to paste the token. Paste, Control V. There you go. All right. And that's it. That's our token. And now we're going to authorize it. Remember, it's a wizard with two steps. The very first one, we perform data access. I'm sorry, data entry. So we can authorize, and now we configure, right? We can set up a project. There's 3 projects in total. I'm going to select product dev, and I can go ahead and use the name product dev. After all, this is my workflow integration so that I'm able to communicate to product development. Makes sense. I also have configured this issue type called security issue. Right? I have configured this. It doesn't come by default from Jira, right? So I can use it. In your case, if you use your own account, use any of the other. Use a bug. It's more appropriate, right? And the rest, I'm going to keep them empty for the sake of brevity, and I'm going to click save. And with this, I've completed successfully my Jira integration. And again, I mentioned to you, I need a Jira integration so that I can show you other aspects of the no-name platform that are operational only when we have a workflow integration. Okay? This is why it's important for us to go through this exercise of going through the different settings, the different configuration of the no-name platform. Okay? With this, once more, we've concluded this section.